Guys, I want to make a video about dealing with reactivity because often in relationships people get reactive. We get upset, especially in our intimate sexual relationship, but it could be anything that doesn't go our way, like feeling threatened for our safety, even though we're safe, completely safe, right? Like you could be laying in bed and you're worried about your finances, worried about your financial safety, but you're just laying in bed, right? Or it could be feeling unloved. You know, you want your partner to go with you to the Christmas party. Your partner doesn't want to go with you. You feel rejected. You feel unloved. And then all these strategies come out. Unhealthy strategies, retaliation, withdrawal, manipulation, control, losing strategies, kind of to summarize into fight, flight, freeze, or fix and fawn. And instead, the most powerful strategies, and this is the practice, is to realize, okay, I'm feeling triggered right now. I'm triggered. How can I calm myself? And 3, how can I make a bid for connection from a healthy place instead of using fight, flight, freeze, or fix and fawn? So, for example, I think you guys all know what fight, flight, freeze, fix, or fawn would be. You know, disappointed with your partner, you can fight with them. Well, you never go to parties with me, you know, or retaliation is a form of fight as well. Well, if you don't go to my party, I won't go to your party. Okay, that's fight. Flight would be, well, you know, fuck you, who needs you anyway? I'm not going to ask you to any more parties. And then fix or fawn would be, well, I think I can figure out how to get this guy to go. I'm going to act helpless. I'm going to act like a victim. I'm going to put a guilt trip on him. I'm going to just chase him and pursue him, let him know how much I love him to get him to go with me. And really, you know, the person has a right to say no. And of course, we can have a right to feel whatever we feel. So the strategy is, okay, right now I'm feeling angry. My partner doesn't want to go to the Christmas party with me. I'm feeling really angry. I'm feeling really hurt. So the first thing is to realize I'm feeling triggered and to not go into a reactive mode, because the reactive modes come from a primitive part of ourselves and they really ruin intimacy. They're not, because we want to stay connected. So we have to get in the place of being able to soothe ourselves. So the first thing is noticing I'm feeling reactive. I'm feeling triggered, okay? I'm angry and I'm hurt and I feel rejected. And this is a practice because people will react, and as you get more and more used to wanting to be less reactive, you'll get to the point where you notice that you're reacting before you even react. But initially you'll be like, oh my God, I got angry again. Okay, so now eventually you'll get to the point where like, oh my God, I'm feeling reactive. But it might still feel really difficult to like, now what do I do? What do I do? You know, when people get reactive, their whole body goes into this fight or flight mode. It's a physical thing. It's not just in your mind, it's in your body, you guys. I'm bouncing. I'm sitting on this blue ball. That's why I'm bouncing. Okay. You realize you're being reactive, and there are several things you can do to calm yourself. And this is what I want to make this video about, because it's a physical thing. First of all, realize that the way that you react is something that you probably learned as a child. Okay, this is very powerful. It's like my way of reacting to this is something I'm copying from the way that my mom reacted when my dad wouldn't give her what she wanted, or how my dad reacted when my mom wouldn't give him what he wanted. That's number one, because that way you can see it's not really you, it's just what you learned, and it's so automatic. That's how you think people are supposed to respond. You don't go to the party with me, I'm going to fight, I'm going to flight, I'm going to fawn, I'm going to people please. Just think about which of your parents acted that way when their needs weren't met. Okay, that's the mental part of it. Oh my God, I'm just copying what I saw growing up, or what was done to me, or what I was allowed to get away with. But usually, like the modeling. The second thing is kind of seeing that when your needs weren't met as a child, what was your adaptive strategy? What way did you use as a child to adapt to not having your needs met? And that could be what you saw your parents do. It could be something different. I'm just going to protect myself. I'm going to disconnect from that person. I'm going to try to be the good girl and get their attention. Just look at the strategy that you use when your needs aren't met. And that's called your adaptive child. And you want to not act in that way anymore, because that was a strategy that worked in your childhood. It's not very effective in adulthood. In adulthood, we want to come from our thinking brain, from our more logical, grounded part, our non-reactive part. So to do that, we want to go either calm our inner child, like, no, I feel like a little 5-year-old right now. I'm going to calm my 5-year-old. That's inner child work, which I don't want to go into on this video. On this video, I want to go more into the somatic part, which is the physical thing. Okay, my partner doesn't want to go with me to the Christmas party. I feel angry. I feel hurt. Where is that in your body? Where is that in your body? Is your chest kind of quivery? Your stomach kind of quivery? Is there this energy in you? And that's where you want to give your attention to calm your body, because emotions are physical. Like our mind, the meaning we give things generates our emotions, and our emotions generate thoughts. So you can stop in either place, but just try to not be upset. Like, I don't want to be upset. That doesn't really work, you guys, because it's in the body, and we're ignoring the body when we're just saying, like, I don't want to be upset about this. Then we're ignoring the body. That's where the wound is, and it could be activating a childhood wound. Okay, so let me give you some strategies for somatic strategies. One of the strategies that I like to use is to calm myself, could be for any situation, feeling unloved or feeling lonely or whatever, is you want to simulate. This is something I came up with. This is the only one I came up with out of all the techniques I'm going to teach you, is that I want to simulate that feeling of chest on chest that we have when we're holding a baby, being held by our caretakers when we're babies, or even during hugs with people or sex with people in the frontal position, like that heart-to-heart chest, that pressure on the chest. Maybe you've heard of a weighted blanket that might do that. You can just hold your chest to comfort yourself, or I like to use this little teddy bear. You can just kind of hold a little teddy bear, as a way to comfort and soothe your body. I'm just curious if that works for any of you, because I just thought of this last night. It's like a new thing I came up with. Or just putting this, or just holding yourself, okay, to soothe your body. There's another technique that Dr. Peter Levine talks about, and that I came across in a video today because Dr. Gabor Mate is doing this online conference, so I was checking in on some of the videos, and Dr. Peter Levine teaches the VU breathing exercise, which calms the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve goes from your brainstem into your gut, and from your gut into your brain. It's the biggest nerve in your body. And by doing he does the VU breathing exercise. Now, I'm not sure how different that is from just regular breathing. Okay, I don't know. So you can try it. But one technique that I know that works for relaxing people, if you're feeling anxious and tense, I do this with my clients when they're over here and they're nervous, is to do a slow exhale. So the way that I do it with people, you inhale and you exhale to the count of 5. So I'm going to show you the inhale and the exhale. Okay, let's do it together. The way that Dr. Peter Levine does it he says to make a voo sound, to inhale from your belly and exhale from your belly to stimulate your vagus nerve, doing a voo sound, like Now he came up with that. I don't know if there's any research behind it or if it's more effective than just an exhale without the voo sound. I have been in situations where I was like, what kind of sound do I want to make? And I will even make sounds like ah, like Now that's more of a sound than a breathing, but I always found it very calming for myself. So, I mean, none of this is set in stone. There's no expert on our breathing. So I think we're free to experiment on breathing and exhaling, whether it's the sound itself, whether it's our focus on our breath. Dr. Levine talks about when you're exhaling and making the voo sound, you're not thinking. So you're in your body, you're disconnected from the not constant stream of thoughts. And a lot of the pain we have are our thoughts, you guys. It's what we think about the situation. It's not the situation, it's what we think about the situation. That's what Eckhart Tolle always talks about. He talks about getting into our body, like just feeling your hands. So again, I don't know if it's the breathing in and of itself, whether it's the movement, whether it's that you're in your body, and the same as when you're exercising. I'm very curious. Okay, so we talked about, the first technique was holding something on your chest, a teddy bear or just pressure. The second technique is to do a slow exhale. You might want to do it for like a minute. Inhale and do a slow exhale. And you can try making a voo sound, or you can try just making a sound. The third technique I want to teach you is, okay, your body is feeling something. It's you, and this is another thing. Some of my clients have difficulty feeling their emotions in their body. They're so shut off from their body, they just have thoughts and they're numb from here down. So the first thing I always have people do is to start noticing their body, being aware of their body throughout the day, noticing emotions in their body. They're in your body, you guys. And so when you're having an emotion in your body, start moving. Like, how does this emotion want to move? Make a gesture. Okay, here's a gesture. Ah. Okay, now what do I want to do? Ah. And you might want to end up dancing or moving around in some way, letting that emotion move through you. On the video today, Dr. Levine talked about how in all ancient cultures, there were hammocks. Mom holding baby, regulating our bodies through swinging in the hammock. So we can regulate through movement. We can regulate our body through movement. He also talked about crying. Crying also releases emotions in the body. So go ahead and cry. When I cry now, my crying used to go on and on as I was in this victim mode. Now my crying lasts like 5 or 10 seconds. I'm like, I released something and I'm good. It doesn't take me over. It's just like, it's a release. Okay, so that was making a gesture or movement. The fourth way of dealing with emotions is to be completely still. You close your eyes and you feel exactly where that emotion is in your body. And you bring your awareness into your body instead of the typical trying to numb your emotion, push it away, distract yourself from it. Because some of these emotions get really uncomfortable, especially anxiety or emotional pain. You find where that sensation is in your body, and you stop thinking about what caused it. Like, oh, my husband, rejected me. He didn't want to go to the Christmas party with me. Or my girlfriend didn't want to have sex with me today. I'm feeling so rejected. Okay, where do you feel that in your body? And now you make it a physical exercise. You know, how does it feel in your chest? Like a pressure, okay, like a big black box, okay. Then you bring your awareness to it and you start circling around it until you eventually go inside of it. And this can take between 2 and 20 minutes. And what ends up happening with people, they go like, oh, it doesn't feel so black anymore. Oh, it feels like it's opening. And they've come to this sense of complete peace because they're being with what is. And for the first time, they're bringing their awareness to an emotion. Sometimes it can happen in just seconds. So that's a physical exercise again. And I talk people through it because a lot of times they'll start thinking about the thing that upset them, but you've got to stay in your body with this. And then and that technique is a very ancient technique that I've read about. It's a shamanic technique. Eckhart Tolle writes about it. A lot of different healers and somatic practitioners write about that technique. And then there's a technique I learned about from Melanie Tanya Evans, who does work with people who've been through narcissistic abuse. That's how she healed herself. You do the same thing with localizing the emotion in your body, but this practice that she teaches is a lot faster than the one I was using with my clients, and that is you feel that emotion in your body and then you're willing to let it go. And for me, I'm like, God, take it. Or you can just be like, I'm willing to let this go. So you load it up, you really feel it, and then you imagine it going out to the top of your head and dissolving into native nothingness. And then you replace it with light. You see all this light coming down through you, through your whole body, including that area where the trauma was. Now, I have been in situations where none of this worked. I will tell you, I have been in situations where none of this worked. None of these physical techniques worked because I was in some very deep traumatic re-experiencing that happened to me a few months ago. And I was like, my body was just like shaking inside. It was shaking. And all of my techniques didn't work. And it's unusual for me because I go through my life 99.5% of the time feeling calm, happy, and content. Like I'm so blessed that I don't have mood swings or physical pains. Like I'm pretty much zen. That's because I'm single. I don't have any, all my pain always came from being in relationships and I don't have any. It's just when I start liking a guy that I start having pain, right? So that came up for me a couple months ago. And I had to do some inner child work. And for that, I was working with a coach at the time, and she had me do a technique of, where do you feel that in your body, and just tone it way down, tone the dial way down, just feel a little bit of it. And then turn it up 10% and 10%. And then be like, what is this pain trying to tell me? And what the answer came from me was, don't leave me. Don't leave me. And then that becomes about, then that's when the inner child work is really good. You talk to your inner child, find my inner child and talk to my inner child and say like, I'm never going to leave you. I'm always here for you. With that too, I want to say that what really helps too with that is, you guys, we cannot put ourselves in situations that are traumatizing. We cannot put ourselves in situations where we chase people who ignore us or are not interested in us, or in relationships where people ignore our needs or don't care about us, or situations where we're not appreciated. Like that's just traumatizing ourselves. We have to be loving to ourselves. Just as a side note, I remember some things that came up for me today thinking about my childhood is like, because I'm trying to remember any feelings I had, was like seeing my dad be mean to my mom. That was very hurtful. And it was very hurtful. I didn't know how to get out of feeling hurt this morning as I came across that memory. And I realized, you know, it wasn't my responsibility to be witness to that. That was not okay. That was a lack of boundaries on the part of my dad, but also on the part of my mom for allowing it. You know, it was her job to remove herself from him. And as soon as I had that realization, I felt instant calm because I didn't have to feel her pain anymore. Her path was to remove herself from that situation. And that's what we all have to do. Remove ourselves from unloving situations. That's another way of not reliving all the stuff, right? I also want to say, if you're suffering from childhood PTSD, this is beyond a level that I can address. There are really great people who do trauma work, childhood trauma work. I would say you will need something more than I can offer. There's a lady I watch on YouTube. She calls herself the Crappy Childhood Fairy. She is so loving and powerful. And she had a traumatic childhood. By traumatic, alcoholic parents who would go off for weeks at a time and leave her and her little sister as toddlers and elementary school kids home alone when they were sick, and they would go to school with dirty long nails and unwashed. You know, if your parents were alcoholics, drug addicts like heroin or cracks like drug addicts, or mentally ill, in other words, they were so consumed with their own drama, they were totally unavailable to you and ignored you, neglected you. Maybe they even abused you, hit you, burned you, withheld food from you, like that kind of severe trauma. I don't know if I can really work with that. She has some really good techniques. She gives people really good tips on what to do and how to regulate yourself, because people with the more severe your childhood trauma, the more easily you get dysregulated and the more work you have to do to start to regulate yourself. But you can regulate yourself. You can get there by learning how to regulate your emotions and choosing healthier environments and healthier people to be with you. That's a part of this work too, you guys, is to not put ourselves in traumatizing situations. I hope that this video has been helpful for you. Please leave your comments if there are any other tips you have about emotional regulation. Please leave them in the comments so that we can all learn from each other. And thank you so much for watching my video.